Microsoft responds to recent videos comparing third-party games on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Thank you for stopping by. If you're new here and you enjoy what you see throughout this video, hey, maybe consider subscribing to help this channel grow. But for now, let's jump into this. So if you've been following Digital Foundry over the last couple of days, they've been releasing lots of videos comparing third-party games between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. They've done Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they've done Devil May Cry, they've done Call of Duty Cold War. And in those videos, we are seeing discrepancies between the PlayStation 5 version and the Xbox Series X version, and in some cases, the PlayStation 5 running those games better than the Xbox Series X. So Microsoft has made a statement about this, saying that developers are just now scratching the surface of what the next-gen consoles can do, and went into a little bit more detail as to why we are seeing the performance that we're seeing on the Xbox Series X. Here's what they said. We are aware of performance issues in a handful of optimized titles on Xbox Series X and S, and are actively working with partners to identify and resolve the issues to ensure optimal experience. As we begin a new console generation, our partners are just now scratching the surface of what next-gen consoles can do, and minor bug fixes are expected as they learn how to take full advantage of our new platform. We are eager to continue working with developers to further explore the capability of the Xbox Series X and S in the future. Now, the main theme with these videos is the Xbox Series X seems to be performing better in 4K with ray tracing, and the PlayStation 5 performing better in performance mode, having a steadier frame rate at higher frame rates. Now, one of the big reasons people are attributing these performance differences right now is because the Xbox Series X dev kit was sent out so late. So the report also notes that some developers said that they were only allowed to submit games in June, and that dev kit allocations were limited. The PS5 dev kits reportedly were available much earlier, giving studios more time to optimize those versions. Now, this makes a lot of sense, and I think this is the main reason why there are some games that are not optimized best for the Xbox Series X or S yet. It has a lot to do with those development kits. I mean, there's even proof that they got them late. This is the Microsoft Development Kit June 2020 GDK release, and it shows that 2020 Microsoft Development Kit release, you can use the GDK to develop games that can be certified and approved to release on Windows 10 PCs, Xbox One consoles, and the Xbox Scarlet consoles. This was June 2020 that this was approved. Phil Spencer goes on to say here, we started manufacturing late summer. We were a little bit later than the competition because we were waiting for some specific AMD technology in our chip. We were a little bit behind where they were, where Sony was in terms of building units. We started in late summer. This also makes a lot of sense because, as we know, Microsoft waited to lock down the full RDNA 2 technology in their SoC, and that is the major reason why the Series X was later in production, why the GDKs were later to the developers, and we're not going to be seeing full power of the Xbox Series X for a little bit. Developers are going to need time to learn how to optimize games on the console. People are comparing this to the PlayStation 3. When the PlayStation 3 came out, it was clearly way more powerful than the Xbox 360, but games at the beginning of the life cycle performed worse than the Xbox 360. But then you look as the PlayStation 3 went on, games started to optimize better, games started to perform better, and overall things were worked out. Although I do think it's similar in the timelines, I don't know if it's as similar as that situation, because I think the architecture for the Xbox Series X is going to be a lot easier to develop for than the architecture for the PlayStation 3. And I mean, in general, this was known before this came out that the GDKs were sent out late. Developers are getting their hands on these later than the PlayStation 5s. The PlayStation 5, if you look at it from a specs point of view, just the facts of what we have available to us, the Xbox Series X is a more powerful console. It is a more capable console, no matter how you really try to spin it or turn it. The biggest thing here is if you're disappointed in the Xbox Series X's performance, I would just be patient. It's going to improve. Games are going to play and look amazing. Even today, the games still look great on the Xbox Series X. I've been playing my Series X a ton, and the performance has been great from my experience. The thing with Digital Foundry is when they do these videos of the comparisons, they are doing a really technical look at these games. They are looking for periods and spots in the game that do not perform up to par, and then they focus on those to show the performance difference. And I mean, that's what they should do, because that's the point of those videos. But when you're playing these games just as a consumer and you're going through it, you're not looking at these games under a microscope. You're not playing these games side by side. And finally, the last thing I find that's very telling and that's interesting with the power of the Xbox Series X is that it does perform better in 4K with ray tracing. And if you know anything about ray tracing, it is very taxing on a system. So a more powerful console is going to perform better with ray tracing compared to a weaker console, and we've already seen that in Call of Duty and in Devil May Cry 5. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because this is something something, it's kind of like beating a dead horse going over this right at the beginning of a generation of new consoles, because it's almost useless really to compare games in the first year or to use the first year of benchmarks of how well games are going to run on these next generation consoles, because we're not really going to know the full power of them until a couple of years. In my mind, it's pretty obvious when just looking at the facts and the spec sheets and all that kind of stuff. The Xbox Series X is more powerful. At the end of this generation, in 7 years from now, we're probably going to look back and see that with multi-platform games, the Xbox Series X was the more powerful console, or at the very least, developers made sure that these games ran identically across the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and we'll see very, very little difference between the two consoles. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you think the Xbox Series X is not performing up to what it could be right now because the GDKs were sent out so late, or do you think it's just not performing that's going to last for the long term of this console generation? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you disliked it, hit that thumbs down button. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you see throughout this video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to help this channel grow. Having a lot of fun right now, interacting and engaging in the comments with people, and just growing this community, I think would be awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your support. I'll catch you in the next video.